And welcome back to the France 24 debate. I'm Annette Young, if you're just joining us. Now, as we've been reporting earlier, Turkish authorities are saying at least 10 foreign nationals are facing legal action. This because they're suspected of ties to an American-based cleric, Fethullah Gulen, who Ankara accuses of masterminding last month's coup. The news comes a day after the heads of two of Turkey's three main opposition parties attended a vast rally on Sunday in Istanbul, led by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. At least 1 million people turned out in what's been touted as a major show of unity. But not everybody was invited. The third largest party in Parliament, the strongly pro-Kurdish HDP, was not on the guest list. This because it's accused by the government of being synonymous with the outlawed Kurdish PKK. So just how unified is Turkey in the wake of that coup attempt? Here to talk about this with me is Harun Armagan, a member of President Erdogan's AKP party, and he's coming to us from Istanbul, and from Adana, Turkey, Gokce PISKIN, a former member of the opposition party CHP, which was one of those parties that attended yesterday's rallies. Thank you to both of you for giving us some of your precious time. Harun, before we talk about yesterday's rally, I'd just like to get your reaction to the news that, as I was saying there earlier, 10 foreign nationals are now facing legal action over suspected coup involvement. What do you know about that?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that there is a terrorist attack happened in Turkey, that our parliament was bombed, and over 240 innocent citizens, including men, women, and children, were killed in streets of Turkey. This is the largest attack that happened to Turkey in the modern history of Turkey. Therefore, there is a judicial process coming to bring those perpetrators into justice, and we have a clear stand for this, that whoever involved in this terrorist attack and who made this country to experience this tragedy should be coming into justice and should be treated to judicial process that is due to.
Now, Harun, if yesterday's rally was to be a show of unity, why was not the HDP, the pro-Kurdish HDP party, invited?
It was a great day for unity of Turkey. I was there with my friends from different parties, including HDP as well. MHP was there, CHP was there, and as far as I understand, the message was clear from all these political party leaders. The unity of the country, the solidarity, and democracy was the common message in different words from all these political leaders. The HDP leader was not invited or was not be there does not mean the HDP supporters were not there. They were there. They supported anti-coup movement, and they supported democracy, because everyone knows in Turkey that democracy is the common value of the country, and we cannot tolerate any attack to our democracy.
Harun, but how can you declare unity when the party that represents a sizable chunk of your population, which was voted into power through a democratic process, wasn't on the guest list? Well,
I know I can say that because the common message came from this party as well. There was a rally in Diyarbakir yesterday. HDP was organizing that rally, and it was not only Diyarbakir. There were rallies in 81 cities of Turkey. That the people from different opinions, from different backgrounds, from different religious faith groups were saying the same message, that Turkey is a democratic country and democracy will remain in Turkey. That's why I'm confident to say that Turkey, the message from all backgrounds, from all people, was the same. And the unity of the country is again stronger in Turkey, because people stand against this coup attempt, regardless of their background, regardless of their political opinions or religious background. So people were standing against these coup plotters as together and one nation.
Gokce, let me bring you in. Your party, the CHP, was there at the rally. This would have been unthinkable before last month's coup attempt. Why did the party leadership decide to attend?
Well, of course, as my colleague said, the Turkish public is against the military coup, and this was a projection of solidarity. Yesterday's rally was a projection of solidarity of the Turkish people in general. We have a standing. There's a all of the Turkish society is against the military coup, and there was a public pressure for our leader to attend this rally, and it was very important to make a speech to all of the big crowd and to give the right messages, because there was a coup attempt, and right after the coup attempt, the government has called for a state of emergency and taking a lot of actions. So it's important to make sure the government is taking the right messages, and it's important to have consensus from the government side with all of the opposition parties to listen to other opinions and to give to take those decisions on a consensus basis.
Gokce, were you personally happy that your party was there at that rally?
I'm personally happy that my party, my party spokespeople, are against the coup, and in every stage we also had our own private anti-coup rallies. It's important that our leader had the chance to speak up and give a voice to our electorate. It was very important because we as Social Democrats, unfortunately, over the past years, since the media was oppressed, we didn't have the equal chances with the government, with AKP, in terms of media coverage, in terms of reaching out to people. Free media is a very huge problem in Turkey. Maybe it's still a problem in Turkey at the moment. So it was important, in my personal point of view, it was important to attend and to speak up and give a voice to Social Democrats. It was very important.
But do you think? Sorry, I'll let you continue.
Sure. But when you look at this rally as a whole, and when you look at the speeches, although the name of the meeting was the democracy meeting, the messages of the government had some anti-democratic emphasis, like the death penalty. So unfortunately, when we try to seek consensus with the opposition, and the Turkish public wants to see the consensus of all of these parties within the government, also outside the parliament as well, this government is trying to have the opposition back up their decisions, not seeking consensus. If the government had the tendency to seek consensus, they wouldn't need a law decree to make legislation, I think.
Harun, what would you say to those comments?
I'm actually sorry to hear the unfortunate comments of Gokce about democracy and death penalty. Of course, Turkey has international agreements, and Turkey always honored its international agreements. And any decision without Turkish parliament it will, of course, comply with international agreements. However, democracy, United States has death penalty, and they are democracy as well. Democracy means the public of the voice, and the parliamentary decides what to have, what is in law, what is not in law. Of course, Turkey, like I said, Turkey knows its international agreements, but if there is a public demand for this, it should be at least something that we can discuss in the parliament. Our parliament and our parliamentarians are qualified people to understand our international agreements and make a decision accordingly. But to say that even to discuss that is against democracy, it's a very unfortunate comment.
But Harun, given what Gokce was just saying, where she believed that there was some anti-democratic sentiments expressed at this rally, some would say that this is just an attempt by the AKP to cut paper over the cracks. And given that Turkish society has become so fragmented, that any attempts to unify are likely to fail.
I haven't heard any undemocratic behavior or an undemocratic statement from any political party leaders yesterday. All political party leaders were underlying the importance of secularity of the country, unity of the country, and importance of democracy. And I think that should be a lesson for all these political party leaders, that maybe we should have had some rallies like this before. And I think this will be a beginning for Turkey, like President Erdogan stated, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, CHP leader, has stated, and Binali Yıldırım, Prime Minister and leader of AK Party leader, stated. So I think as a young person and young politician, I would say I'm a lot more hopeful about Turkish democracy after the rally that I have seen yesterday. It was almost a unique rally that all political parties hold together.
Gokce, I understand you want to make a comment.
Exactly. Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu, our president, emphasized again and again in this rally that we should take our lessons. We should take our lessons. We should take our lessons, because we always talk about the coup and the afterwards. What about the beforemath of the coup? What brought us to this coup? Are we good at analyzing this very well? Unfortunately, the centralized government, the coup was attempted by a group in the state that over the past few years, over the past tens of years actually, that used the powers of centralized governments to settle there. And unfortunately, if this situation takes place again, then the history will repeat itself. If we become more and more centralized, if we don't establish separation of powers, the rule of law, the social justice, and the list is very long. If you don't establish these institutions in a republic, democratic republic of a 21st century, then the history will repeat itself. That is why Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu always emphasizes that we should take our lessons. As government, as oppositions, we should take our lessons well.
Harun, so far at least 70,000 people have either been dismissed from their jobs or arrested. There are a number of Turkish people, as well as those who are outside, who see this coup attempt as an opportunity for the president to purge opponents who had no link to the plot, and are worrying that those implicated won't get a fair trial.
I completely disagree with the term purge. That Turkey is fighting two terrorist organizations, terrorist PKK and terrorist ISIS, and no one was able to give such a big damage to Turkey. Our parliament was bombed. Our people, like 240 people, innocent men, women and children, were killed in streets. Fighter jets and tanks were against people, against unarmed civilians. So if you think about the size of the tragedy, you would understand the size of this terrorist group as well. This terrorist group is not only in the army, they are infiltrated into police, judiciary, the media sector, and all other private sectors as well. And they use this power against these people, these nations' own people. Therefore, when there is a judicial process after this all big terrorist attack that happened to Turkey, that created huge damage on our democracy, our people, and attack our democracy, and the judicial process would of course be at the same size. Therefore, I understand that the numbers are high, but this should be something that to understand how big this terrorist group was.
I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. We're running out of time. So at this point, let me thank my guests, that being Harun Armagan, a member of President Erdogan's AKP party, and also Gokce PISKIN, a former member of the opposition CHP. Do stay with us here, people, on France 24, because there are more news and headlines coming up very shortly.